Hi, welcome to this video about why an organization needs multi-factor authentication. My name is David Holt and I'm the Chief Relationship Officer in SMS Passcode. The shortest version on why an organization needs multi-factor authentication is that you don't want your data or your systems to be destroyed, or you don't want your data to be stolen. Typically, it's a bigger threat for an organization to have their data or their system destroyed than the threat of having their data stolen. Multi-factor authentication is a mechanism to ensure that no bad guys can sneak in and get access to your systems or your data, and thereby being able to destroy them or steal them. Multi-factor authentication can be done in many different ways, and SMS Passcode's way of doing it is recognized to deliver a very smart and an extremely secure mechanism compared to competitive solutions. But back to why you need multi-factor authentication and how it works. Multi-factor authentication is a security mechanism that ensures when a user logs into a system that the user is who he claims to be. The term multi-factor authentication comes from you using multi-factors to identify you as a user. An example of one of these factors is everything that the user knows. That being his username, his password, his PIN code, his additional password, etc., etc. And that's everything which is within the user's heads, and that's what the user knows. The weakness about the things that you know is that somebody else might know it. And it gets even worse if somebody else knows what you know without you knowing it. That's when the real trouble begins. For example, if somebody gets access to your username and password without you knowing it, you might end up in trouble because they will then be able to log in as you to any kind of given system. And that's the reason why you need something more than your username and a password to ensure your identity. And now more present than ever, and basically because the bad guys who want to steal your username and password today have many very sophisticated and advanced tools and mechanisms to steal everything that you know. So you need more factors, you need additional factors, and you need multiple factors. But back to the basics. When you talk about security, there will always be a threat linked to that security. In other words, there would be no need for security if there was no threat. Therefore, security is always linked to a threat. And to understand how you should build your security, you would have to understand the threat. So let me show you some of the simple threats. Some of the simple threats and some of the tools and mechanisms that the bad guys are using to steal your identity, and some of the threat that you are facing today. The main threat has a general term, and the term is called phishing. Phishing is a term that covers many different kinds of mechanisms. But essentially it all has to do with a bad guy phishing or getting information out of you. The typical examples of phishing are like the phishing emails. The emails you receive, sometimes from a trusted sender, that being your bank or even a friend, who tells you in this email to deliver some information because it could be the bank telling you that you would have to send your credit card number, expiration day, etc., for the bank to be able to check whether the security in the bank is safe or not. But it could also just be from a friend who wants to get any kind of access to any kind of information that eventually the bad guys can use to get access to your information or your system in some manner. Another very typical example of phishing is the phishing website. Luckily for us, having those kind of phishing attacks is a bit more complicated and more sophisticated to build, but still, eventually, it's very, very simple. The phishing websites, it's all about a bad guy taking a copy of your website and make it look totally identical with the original website, your website. You see them, these phishing websites being from the bank, or it could be, it could even be like the login screen to your company. It could be PayPal. It could be lots of different kinds of examples, which all, Facebook, for example. Take a copy of Facebook's front page from where you log in, and then the hard part comes basically is to get you as a user from the original website over to the hacked or copy of the website. That's the difficult part. That mechanism is called farming. That is one of the mechanisms you can use to get the users from the original website over to your copy or your hacked version of a website. But let me show you an example of a phished website. So take a look at this. This is a login screen from your company, for example. It's an old Citrix system, Citrix, which I love dearly. And this system is even protected by some of the old school two-factor authentication systems. In the old days, it was called two-factor authentication systems because you only added one additional factor to what the user knew, which was the one factor. And that was the token. That family of solution is called pre-issued passcode-based solutions. And this particular website I'm showing you right now, that's a website protected by the old school two-factor authentication system. But as you will see, the user types in his username and he types in his password, and then he types in this code that can come from a token. But one thing you have to understand is that this code on the token or the key fob could actually be delivered in any different way. As long as it's a pre-issued passcode-based solution, it has the same security signature as anyone else. So actually many, even the SMS and text-based solution are still pre-issued based solution and therefore have a different security signature than a solution like SMS passcode, which is lower. SMS passcode basically just have a higher level of security. And as you will see in this example, being protected by even a pre-issued passcode-based solution is still very, very easy to compromise. So you are not much better off by being covered by a pre-issued based solution than being not. A bit maybe. But the bad guys nowadays, they know everything about how to do these phishing websites and how to do the farming part, how to get the guys over to the hacked website. And the problem essentially nowadays is that since they do have easy access to complete recipes on how to do these things, they tend to do it. And as you will see here in a second, when I press login, you got hacked. Obviously in the real world, the bad guys will not say, hey, you've just been under an identity theft attack or a hacker attack. They will say the system is down for maintenance or something. But the problem is that nowadays it's so easy to get access to the information you need to be able to create these kind of attacks. In Denmark, where I come from, we just had a huge attack against a big public institution. This public institution's website was down based to a denial of service attack, actually. It doesn't have that much to do with this, but the idea of it is it has maybe the same kind of complexity as making a very simple phishing attack against a website. The police just, I think it was like 2 days ago, caught the guy who did this denial of service attack, and he was 15 years old. Essentially, it shows that you can say the skill set needed to be able to do this are very little or very few, because there is a limit to how much one is able to learn and understand being only 15 years old. But those guys, they knew enough, they had access to enough tools and mechanisms to be able to do these kind of attacks. But the reasons why bad guys, you can say, are doing these kind of attacks can be many different. They rank from money value incentives to political incentives to simple boys' pranks. But as I told you in the beginning, the biggest threat is usually coming from the threat of a bad guy not stealing your data, but killing your data, destroying your data, and leaving your organization paralyzed. And that's why you need multi-factor authentication. Today, there will not go a single day without you, if you look for it, will find stories in the media about identity theft, phishing attacks, organization being compromised by hackers, etc., etc. And in essence, some of the reason is that the incentives of doing it is there, and the bad guys' access to the information and how to do it is very, very easy. Anyone can go to Google or YouTube, type in some of these words like stealing password, phishing, farming, and get the complete recipe. And actually, very often it will be shown with a video like this, telling exactly what to do and how to do it and when to do it. And that is, in essence, the problem we face nowadays. And therefore, the need for security is all the time increasing. If you want to learn more about SMS passcode and how it fits into your organization, please contact one of our many partners around the globe. You'll be able to find all our partners on our website under Where to Buy. There you'll find our distributors and our resellers. Or you can just ship us an email on info@smspasscode.com. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you will take your time to follow SMS Passcode and see some of our other videos. Thanks a lot.